I'm Vicki Marquez, a food lover, wellness expert, certified health coach, plant-based chef, and author. And I'm here to show you how to nourish your life from the inside out. With my veggie-licious recipes and healthy how-tos, I'll give you all the wellness tools and tips that you need to eat better, feel better, and live better.
Hello everyone, welcome to PHTV Channel 4 in Palos Heights. I'm Susan Jankowski. Welcome to Nourished. And as always, we have our good friend Vicki Marquez with us today. And she is the guru of great food. If you've tried any of her recipes that we've had in the past, I know you're really impressed by them because they're really delicious. And I think that the great thing about this show is all the great things you're teaching us about eating healthy so you can feel better.
Right.
And that's what we are doing. We're trying to make it easy for you to cook things at home that are nourishing, thus the name, Nourished. So thank you for inviting us into your home and cooking again for us. We've got some great recipes today. She was telling us a little bit about it. And I can see the good starts here. Vicki, what do we have going today?
So we are officially in the holiday season.
Yes.
And I know for me personally, it's really hard when you're following a plant-based diet to go to holiday soirees and have, a delicious meal. We're usually limited to side dishes. So today I wanted to show viewers how to make a really easy, delicious, indulgent, hearty, plant-based feast, really, for your next holiday celebration or get-together with friends. So on the menu, we have sourdough stuffing with artichokes. We have lentil pot pies with mushroom and vegan gravy. And then we'll also have recipes for a holiday citrus salad and chocolate truffles.
Wow.
So we've got the whole meal covered for you guys, and it's delicious.
And it's all vegetable-based.
It's all plant-based. That's right. There's no animals harmed in the making of this meal. So for all of our animal lovers, you're going to just love this episode. As always, we're a plant-based show, so we try to focus on veggies and foods that are fresh from Mother Nature and that you can get right from your own backyard if they're in season, or your farmer's market, or the produce section of your grocery store.
I think the thing is about the plant-based cooking is, I think a lot of us are so used to, and I've said this before, we're so used to steaming or stir frying or whatever, and that's good and delicious. Or raw vegetables also very good, but they're nothing like what Vicki cooks up for us. This is a whole new experience, and I think if you just try one, you'll be surprised. So I'm anxious to find out about this.
All right, so let's get started with our stuffing. So on the stove, I actually have some caramelized onions going here, and this is really the starter for the stuffing. And the full recipes, again, they're on my website. You can get them from the station. But caramelizing onion is really just cooking them low and slow, scraping up the brown bits. I scrape that up with a little bit of sherry vinegar to impart some flavor, and really just letting them go until they're nice and golden and caramelized. So it's usually anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes. You can speed up the process a little bit by adding, a little bit of water here and there. So these onions, I've had them going, so they're nice and caramelized and ready to go. And then what you're going to do is, once they're ready and you've added your garlic, is you're going to start adding our veggies. So the first thing we're going to use is some fennel. And I love fennel because it's crunchy and it's sweet and has a little bit of a licorice flavor, a slightly...
It's a really distinctive taste. It's mild, but yet it's there.
Absolutely, and it's really, really good for you. I mean, it's loaded with antioxidants. So if you are struggling with any kind of inflammation, this is a really great vegetable to incorporate into your diet. And so then here I have one bunch of curly kale that is been destemmed that I'm just going to throw right into the pot, along with my fennel and my onions and my garlic. And really, we're just going to kind of toss all this together. This is really simple, guys. Again, I don't do complicated. I like things to be nice and easy and user-friendly for everybody. So you just want to wilt, whoops, a few men overboard here. You just want to wilt down the kale. So it'll just be a couple minutes. And while that's wilting down, you're going to add 2 cups of vegetable broth. And this is actually going to help wilt the kale down even more. And anytime you're making a stuffing, you need a liquid so that that bread that you're going to use can kind of soak up all that delicious liquid and have a really great texture.
And of course, we all know that kale is a great kind of super food right now that, you know, people are trying to work into their diet. So this is a great way to do it.
Yes. And there's a lot of tricks with kale. I know some people don't like the flavor because it's a little bit bitter. But when you remove the stems and if you lightly massage it, it actually breaks down a lot of that bitterness. And I think we might have talked a little bit about that before. But when you're rinsing it, that's when I do the massaging, when I'm running it under the water just to rinse my kale. I just massage the leaves gently and it really breaks down a lot of that fiber and where that bitterness lives. So just wilting this down, it doesn't have to go too long. We're gonna add some spices to the mix, of course. So we're gonna add a little bit of thyme because it's a nice holiday flavor. And again, the full recipes are on my site and they are at the station. About a 1/4 teaspoon of oregano, a little pinch of sea salt, and then some ground black pepper.
Those are all like things that people have, you know, there's no special ingredients really.
No, these are all spices that are pretty common and most people have on hand. And if you guys aren't sure about spices, a great place to shop for that is the bulk section because they have spices in the bulk so you can get just a little bag and try it. And that way if you don't like it or you're not using it, you're not really wasting a lot of money. And that's that.
Well, and so often when you're buying a spice, if you're buying it, you know, already in a container, there's so much of it that even if you use it often, you don't use it often enough to get the full flavor out of it, so you're having to pitch it, you know, before you really want to.
Exactly.
So that's great, a great suggestion.
Yeah, so bulk section's great. So then the last thing that we're gonna add before we mix it with the bread is just artichoke hearts. Now these are canned artichokes, 1 can of artichoke hearts that I've drained, rinsed, and then just chopped up. And I don't know about you, Sue, but I love artichokes.
I do too, yeah.
I mean, they're firm, but they're tender, and they're slightly sweet, and I always have them on hand in my house. You can get them jarred, which usually comes with a marinade, or canned like this. Frozen is also good, and that's probably closest to fresh. But they're great to add on pizza or in pasta dishes, salad, sandwiches, you name it. I mean, really, I throw them on everything.
They are very good. I like them too.
Okay, so now here in this big, large bowl, I have a pound of sourdough bread that I've just torn up into little pieces. You throw this on a parchment-lined baking sheet, drizzle with olive oil, and then just toast it up for about 15 minutes until they're crunchy little croutons. And this is your sourdough stuffing base. And then really all we're gonna do is just combine our kale and our broth with our breadcrumbs.
Wow.
It's really super simple.
It really is simple, but it's going to be so different than the, you know, traditional stuffings that you can make.
Yes, it has got a definite different flavor profile, and you know, it's a little bit different with the fennel and the artichoke, but it's so delicious. This is one of my favorite, and it's a really big crowd pleaser. I actually made this the week before Thanksgiving for a Friendsgiving, and it was a huge hit. So
oh, that's cute. I like that Friendsgiving.
Friendsgiving,
yeah,
because you got to celebrate your friendships, right?
Right, you sure do. And everybody loved it.
Everybody loved it. This was gone in a flash. But I feel like stuffing is one of those things that once you start, it's kind of hard to stop.
It's a little comfort food kind of thing.
Yes.
You know, everybody likes bread, and then you've got some really interesting flavors in here, so I think I can see why people really were drawn to it.
Yeah, and sourdough has, you know, that really nice mild tang to it, but you know my recipes are all very, you know, customizable. So if sourdough is not your thing, you know, whole grain bread or regular bread, whatever bread you have, love, and want to use, you just go ahead and use that. And so now I'm going to try and do this without making too much of a mess, as I'm just going to combine the rest of the liquid right over top. All that goodness.
Now, is this something you could make like the day before, a week before, well, not a week, but maybe a couple days ahead of time?
Yeah, for
something
sure.
Like that.
Yeah, I would recommend that you make it all the way through, so you actually bake it and then have it ready so it doesn't get too mushy just sitting in the juice. Definitely bake it and crisp it up, but you can absolutely make this in advance. It's so easy. So then our last step, I'm going to bring over this nice big cast iron skillet. You can use a casserole dish or any oven safe pan that you have or skillet. And this is just easy, guys. We're gonna put it right in.
Well, that's interesting. So you're gonna bake it right in the skillet?
Bake it right in the skillet.
And then you can just serve it in the skillet.
Now, if you want to make this really a one-pot thing, you can do the whole process in the skillet. You don't have to use the bowl to mix. If you can be a neat mixer and mix it in the skillet.
I don't know, because you really have to kind of stir that a lot. I'm thinking the two-parter might be easier.
It's a little easier, and it's better for television. But, you know, my friend actually, she's an amazing cook, and she actually makes this just all in the cast iron skillet. So she's figured out a way to make it work. So you don't even have to dirty that many dishes.
Well, that's good. But really, this took so little. I mean, you could prepare your fennel and caramelize the onions and all that beforehand, and put it together like right before you want to put it in the oven before your guests arrive. It really wasn't complicated to do.
No, and again, you know, if you have little kids, get them involved. Have them rip the bread apart for you. You know, the fennel, it's just one bulb of small fennel, thinly sliced. The kale, kids love ripping up the kale too. So, you know, figure out fun ways to get everybody involved. You can give people jobs. Again, I'm just gonna dump it in here so that we can get it all in.
Gee, you know, I didn't think that was all gonna fit in there.
Oh, yeah. All right, so we are just gonna spread that out, and then what we do...
It's really pretty with the kale.
Drizzle it with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil right over top. And then we're gonna cover it with foil. And we are going to pop it in the oven, preheated at 400 degrees, and we're gonna bake this for 20 minutes. And then after 20 minutes, we're gonna take the foil off and let the top get nice and crispy and golden for about another 10 minutes. And then stuffing's done. So it's very, very simple.
Delicious.
So let's pop this in, get that going, and then we can work on our polenta pot pies.
All right. Well, while that cooks, we're going to get ready for the next thing. Okay. Now the stuffing is cooking in the oven. We're going to wait for that to get done. And while we're waiting, we're going to make something that it's going to be so interesting because it's got all these little teeny tiny bowls. What are we making now?
So now we're going to make something that I invented, sort of, called polenta mushroom pot pies. And we're going to do this with a vegan gravy. Polenta mushroom pot pies, kind of what it sounds like. We're going to do little individual pot pies with lentils and mushrooms. And I love this because it's a plant-based take on a traditional pot pie, but mushrooms and lentils both have that meaty texture. And then we're going to add some sweetness to it, and we have polenta as the topping instead of puff pastry. So it'll be a fun little twist on a classic.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, and it's so easy, guys. So I just wanted to start off by letting you guys know that I have some veggie broth over here, bringing it up to a boil on the stove. This is for the polenta. So we'll come back to that. And I just added a little bit of water and oregano to that. So that's coming to a boil, and then we're gonna work on our pot pies. Now, this is so easy. We're starting off with lentils, and you can use any lentils that you like. And lentils are super high in protein, super high in fiber, so they're a really great nutritional bang for your buck. And you can cook them just like you cook beans, where you just bring them to boil with water until they're tender, but you don't have to soak them, so they go faster. These are actually pre-made lentils that I got from Trader Joe's, and you can get pre-made also at Mariano's or Whole Foods. They're in the produce section, actually, by like the already prepared beets and cut up veggies.
Oh, that's nice. A little shortcut.
A shortcut, and they're usually seasoned with salt and pepper, so they already have some flavor imparted to them. So you just open up the package of your lentils, or you can make them. And then here I have a cup of toasted chopped walnuts that I'm going to add into my lentils. This will give it a little crunch. And then we're just going to season this with some more thyme for some good fall flavors, and some more oregano, using all the same spices in all of the recipes here today. So it's really easy. And then salt and pepper, of course. A little sprinkle, a little grind, and that's it. This is our lentil mixture.
It's nice.
These are really fun. And again, they're really hearty. And then the other layer of our pot pies, I just chopped up some onion, garlic, and mushrooms and sauteed that all together, and that was it. So a little bit of salt, nothing else to it. So a super quick and easy mushroom mixture. Again, to give it more of that meatiness. And so what you do is you just take, you can do this in a big casserole dish. I'm going to do little individual ramequins, but you just grease them up so that they don't stick. And then you layer in your lentils and your walnuts on the bottom. About halfway, you want to get a good amount in there.
Okay.
And then you top it with your mushroom mixture. I hear my veggie broth boiling.
That's good. All right, so you're doing it almost like equal portions of those.
Pretty much, yeah. And then that's it. And then we're going to top this with the polenta. So if you wouldn't mind layering those three with the lentils and the mushrooms, and then I'm going to get going on the polenta.
All right.
So I'm just going to whisk my broth in my oregano, which is now boiling. And so polenta, for those of you who are not familiar, is an Italian dish just made from coarsely ground cornmeal. And you cook it kind of low and slow, but it goes quick if you're buying, you know, the instant polenta. And you're just going to whisk it into your broth. And just keep gradually incorporating it. Whisking, whisking.
Now, I do see polenta at the store, like already made.
In the log?
Yes, in the log. What about using something like that?
You can use that. So that's pretty much the same thing, except when you have warm polenta, it's creamy, and once it sits for a little while, it solidifies and, you know, becomes, you know, more moldable, so you can cut it into shapes, and that's how they get it into that log. So you can definitely use that log already made and then slice it into rounds and place a round on top of the ramekins. We're going to reduce this to low. We're going to keep whisking. You just want to whisk it until the liquid is absorbed and all of the starches are released.
But it would look a little bit different, and of course probably taste a little bit different too.
Right, and you would want to probably cut them into thin rounds because that can be a thick bite. And I like, because we are going to do a vegan gravy with this, I like putting a hole through the middle of my pot pie and drizzling the gravy in. And so that's going to be a little bit harder if you use the polenta log, but you can. And you know, if you want to top this with mashed potatoes, you can. That's another fun twist. Another great option is, I believe Pepperidge Farm has a plant-based puff pastry sheets in their frozen section. So if you did want a more traditional puff pastry, you know, on your pot pie top, you can get something like that and still keep it plant-based.
Okay.
And if you're not plant-based, well, then you can use anything. All right, so our polenta is nice and thick and creamy. I'll show you guys what it looks like. We're just gonna let it cool for maybe a minute, but I'll show you what you can, so you can kind of see it.
Oh, yeah.
Just a nice creamy texture.
It is, yeah. It's like almost like oatmeal, kind of.
Yeah, or like grits.
Yeah.
It's a little bit coarser than grits, so it holds its shape better. And it will harden as, you know, as it sits. It'll, you know, like I said, kind of solidify a little bit. I actually can bring the pot over. And then we're just going to spoon this right over top.
Then once these are done, you're going to bake them?
We're going to broil them.
Because they're really cooked.
They're cooked. So you could eat it like this, but what we want to do is we're going to put it under the broiler for about 5 to 8. I found on my oven 8 minutes is like the perfect amount of time. We're going to put them on a cookie sheet. We're going to pop them in the oven under the broiler so that flame, the direct flame, can give this a nice golden, fiery looking crust. It's fun to put a spoon through that too. A little crust.
Right, because you just really crunch it in.
I feel like you're doing
okay, and I've never seen a vegetable or vegan-based gravy. So that sounds really interesting to me too.
Yeah, this is a fun one. And most vegan gravies, if you look online, you'll probably find a lot of them are mushroom based. But because I'm doing a mushroom filling on these pot pies, I didn't want to go that route. So we're not using any any mushrooms in this gravy. So it's a completely different twist on even a vegan gravy. But all very good for you ingredients. And so easy to make. When you guys see how easy this gravy is to make, you might make it today.
You might just run out and get that and make it.
You just put it on your toast. Right? Just
got
put it over
some
your
great
toast in
ideas.
the morning.
Uh-huh.
Why not? Who doesn't love a good gravy?
Oh, that's true.
Okay, so now we've got our little mini pot pies ready.
Now, what if you made these ahead of time? Wouldn't you need to like warm the whole thing first? Like put them in the oven for a little while to get them warmed up a little bit more?
I would. You can make it like this and you can pop them under the broiler maybe for half the time or, you know, the whole time if you want. But I would reheat them if you're gonna make them in advance. I definitely would. Everything I think is better served warm when it's like a comfort food like this.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so that's that. We're just gonna pop them, like I said, under the broil. You want to kind of have them right under that direct flame so they get that nice crispy golden crust going on. And then our vegan gravy, guys. This is so easy, you're not going to believe it. So what we're going to do is we're going to just put everything in the blender, blend it, and warm it, and your vegan gravy is done. Doesn't get any easier than that.
And if you have this great gizmo, it warms it up for you, right?
This does. We are actually going to do it in the pan.
We are, okay.
Because I don't think anyone wants to listen to this go for 5 minutes.
It's noisy.
But we're just going to put all of our ingredients right into the blender. So we're doing 1 cup of veggie broth. We're going to do 2 tablespoons of tahini. And we used tahini on our last episode. This is just ground up sesame seed. This helps give it a really rich flavor and thick gravy consistency. Then we're going to do 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil right in there. And you can play around with the ingredients. You know, I mean, they're really versatile. We're going to do about 1.5 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. And this is vegan Worcestershire sauce. So you have to look, most Worcestershire sauces have anchovies in them. But this Annie's brand I got from Whole Foods does not. So this is actually a plant-based Worcestershire. And then we're going to do 1 tablespoon of balsamic vinegar.
I didn't even know there was such a thing as vegan Worcestershire sauce.
There is.
I didn't realize that was that would be anything in there other than.
And then this is 1 tablespoon of blackstrap molasses. And this is a sweetener. It's really thick, as you can see, sticky, dark brown. And it's probably the most nutritious sweetener that you can get. It's really high in minerals, iron, calcium, magnesium, potassium. It has them all. And this is just a byproduct of when they're making sugar from sugarcane or sugar beets. That's what comes from that production. 1 clove of garlic, peeled. And then we're going to do about 1 tablespoon. I'm using oat flour, but you can use any flour that you have on hand. And I'm doing about 1 teaspoon of cornstarch. And again, these are just thickening agents, so we're going to get a nice thick gravy. I chose oat flour because that's what I had on hand. But again, you guys can use any flour that you have.
Okay.
Don't be intimidated by something that you've never heard of
Like
or don't
oat
have.
flour? I don't have that.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't want to buy an oat flour.
Right, because you don't know when you're going to use it.
Right.
And if you guys have questions, you know, email me. Feel free if you're not sure about a recipe and you don't know if you can substitute something, you know, just feel free to shoot me an email and I'll be happy to let you know if it's an equal substitute or whatever.
Okay, that's good.
All right, so that's our gravy. We're just going to blend this for a second to get it all nice and combined.
Well, that's not even a very loud blender.
Not too bad, right?
No, not bad at all. No.
And that's it. That is it.
Okay, and then we need to heat it to get it to thicken.
That's right. So as soon as we're going to bring this to a boil, get this going. We're going to bring this up to a boil, then it's really going to get nice and thick. And then once it comes to a boil, we're just going to let it simmer for maybe not even another minute, maybe 30 seconds. whisking it as it gets thicker. You'll see. You might want, I have a 1/4 cup of water here. If it's too thick, then you can add a little bit of water to thin it down. Really, gravy is up to you and your preference. Some people like it runny, some people like it thick. I like mine in the middle. So just going for whatever consistency you like, and you can add water to get it there, or you know, it will be thick. So we're gonna just let this cook. We're gonna let our polenta pot pies cook in the oven, and then when we come back, we will have the spread all ready for you guys with 2 extra recipes.
All right, that sounds good. Thanks. Okay, everything is done. Looks beautiful. Can't wait to try some, but we also have a couple other things that Vicki has made. She's going to tell us a little bit about. I mean, the salad is gorgeous.
Isn't it pretty?
Yes.
So this salad is so simple. I call it my holiday citrus salad. It's just mixed greens, sliced orange, sliced blood orange, some pomegranate seeds, and pistachios. And you can use dried cranberries, any nut that you like. And this is just the shallot vinaigrette that we actually made last time on the show. So you're actually gonna just use that same recipe, or you can use any vinaigrette that you like. And it's so easy, but it's a very, I don't know if you guys can get a good look at that, but it's such a beautiful dish to bring to your next holiday gathering.
It really is. And with the lettuces that you chose, that has those nice rich colors in there.
Yeah,
it's very pretty.
Red and green.
Yeah.
Kind of very holiday. And then these are my chocolate truffles. These are a very big crowd pleaser. They are so decadent and delicious, but they're healthy. They're like 5 ingredients, not even. It's just dates and cacao and coconut butter and a little bit of sea salt, and then you just roll them in your favorite toppings, and they're so delicious and so easy. So you can get the full recipe for the salad and the truffles on my site or from the station. And then the other things that we have are what we made today. So this is our stuffing, our sourdough stuffing with artichokes.
Beautiful.
And then these are our little pot pies. So they came out so nice and crispy with that golden crust just by putting it under the grill. And our vegan gravy is here. We're gonna pour it all over everything.
Well, and it's so fun when you do an individual dish like that too, for your guests to have that individual little thing and then get the other things on their plate alongside of that. That's a great idea.
Yeah, it's fun. And this actually makes 8. So we did a half portion for the show, but it makes an 8. The recipe on this online will make 8 individual cups. So you can feed 8 people, and it's a delicious feast that you guys are gonna love and enjoy.
Oh, so nice. You know, Vicki mentioned a little bit about getting some viewer input, and we would love it if you would email Vicki if you have a question. Maybe there's something, maybe there's a particular vegetable or breads or something that you want to use, incorporate into your cooking, and you have a question about it. Vicki would be the one to ask about it. She will address it at some time. But also, our next program is going to be all about how to handle stress, holiday stress. And it's not just always about food.
Right.
There are other issues in our life that keep us healthy too. And so Vicki, you're going to be talking a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we've had a few viewers reach out, so thank you guys for reaching out with your comments and questions, and keep them coming. But next month we'll be in the studio, and we'll be talking how to healthfully handle holiday stress. So if you have anything that you're struggling with or that you're finding really challenging this time of year that you want to navigate through the season without any stress in a very zen way, send me the comment, send me the question, because we will be answering those on the next show. It'll be dedicated to what issues you guys are having so that I can help you guys directly with what you're most struggling with, if anything. Maybe you guys are all, maybe you guys don't have a problem with the season, but it can get crazy.
Well, it can, and I think basically we all have a little bit of a problem at some point. I mean, just in life in general, but then you add in the things that you try and do for your friends and family during any holiday season, or it just seems like it gets a little overwhelming sometimes if you wake up at night thinking, when am I going to do this, or how am I going to handle that, and or just gatherings with family members sometimes can be stressful. Even if you love everybody to death, it can still be a little stressful. So if you have some questions, Vicki will be happy to talk about that. And if not, she's got a whole lot of really helpful tips for us to deal with stress on a daily basis, and particularly during the holidays. Yeah. And also, any other questions you have, Vicki will be happy to answer. And I hope that you email us.
Yeah.
So
we're going to dig in.
We are going to dig in, and we're going to thank you for watching us, and really have a wonderful holiday season.
Happy holidays.
Make something
delicious.
Yeah, make something
So
really
that you
good.
can eat better, feel better, and live better.
That's
and
right.
nourish your belly and those that you love all holiday season.
And you know, the holidays too, we tend to eat things we don't normally eat, and sometimes we don't feel so good when we do that. So this is stuff that you might not normally eat, but maybe you'll incorporate it into your diet after you try it.
Absolutely.
See you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
All right, so let's
All right. Thank you. I'm going to take a little scoop of this. This looks really good. All right, now we just clean this a little
I love this stuffing.
That might work. I'm going to try this one first. Okay. That gravy is delicious. Mm-hmm.
You would never know that.
You would not. It's just a delicious gravy. Ooh.